Hi, hello everyone. Welcome to our week 8, chapter 8, New Earth book club discussion, and is about the discovery of inner space. And today is October 29. If you have not subscribed to our channel, don't forget to click the subscribe button. And if you're interested to join us in the next chapter, there will be a contact information at the end of this discussion. So with me today is Meredith and Jonathan. How are you guys today?
Good.
Good, good. Okay, so I'm going to pass to Meredith so then we can start our session.
Okay. Hi, everyone. We're going to do our minute of mindfulness or silence, whatever you decide to do, whether it's prayer or meditate or whatever. And yeah, so remember to focus on your breathing, take really big belly breaths and blow it out. So we'll go ahead and start. Okay, and gently open your eyes and come back to your body. And when everyone's ready, Jonathan, you can go ahead and
Yeah, but
do you want to review our exercise for last week?
I think we should thank Jonathan first. He's a new member of our book club, and he joined us last week. And we're so excited that he's going to lead our discussion for this week. And I'm going to pass.
So we are discussing chapter 8 this week. Last week's reflection exercise was to practice detachment from outcome once a day by returning to the phrase, "Is that so?" Allow space to feel the feeling when triggered from external stimulus. Let go the ego diminish and center yourself afterwards. Reflect on the feelings that came up after the trigger.
I tried this exercise. I'm sorry. Can I talk? I shouldn't be saying sorry. Okay, so I think this is really really cool exercise. But it just that I feel that if you're not used to it, sometimes maybe your friend would think, am I not having any, like I don't have any response to the situation. It's just like I'm afraid of what people would think when I answer this to them. But if for myself, I think it's a good thing, to let that happen, to bring that detachment from not feeling so sad or not feeling so excited about something. That's my reflection.
Yeah, I definitely tried to use this exercise when I was too much in my head. I think that's one thing, like as an introvert, I will often retreat into my head a lot
You
versus like the
identified
external
yourself.
world.
I'm sorry.
What?
You identified
I know.
yourself as an introvert.
I know.
Should-
Ego.
There you go.
Uh
Sorry.
but it was helpful for my person to try and remember that, like, am I really viewing this accurately? How can I view it differently? How can I detach from it, I guess? And for me, like, allowing the knowledge that what happens externally is my perception of it versus it's not necessarily the truth. It's just my perception of what's going on. So that was helpful.
Yeah, I did practice this week. Whenever my stock values would go up or down, I would say, "Is that so?" And I would feel the feeling triggered by these different stocks, and I said, "Why do I need to have stock in everything that I own, as far as Fitbit and other things that I use and support? Why not just invest all my money in a Chinese recycling facility and company?" And when I got done, I felt good because I had put food on the table of this company who only is worth about $6 million for another day at least. And I don't know, like, it probably won't appreciate in value, and that's fine. I'm happy to let these people use my money, and if they do somehow make money off it, it's a miracle.
So in that type of a situation, what was your internal dialogue that you prompted the "is it so?" Like,
Oh, yeah, is that so? Like, it turns out that Fitbit is going up, but I'd rather use Dogecoin to just sort of buy stock one at a time, having the stocks on Robinhood with Dogecoin to help me help them, robbing the rich with a Doge. This is your turn to say, "Is that so?"
is that so?
I'm sorry if I'm being goofy. I had a great day.
No, I like Goofy.
It's good to be goofy and laugh.
Yes. Yes,
This is good. It's a good environment.
it is. Would you say something like that to a friend that never read this book? Especially when they're so excited about something and your answer was just, "Is that so?" Would you want to show some support, like, and your reaction is just, "Is that so?" It doesn't, to me, yeah, you know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, it's a very neutral.
You're on mute.
Oh, I think you muted yourself there.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Yes.
Trigger any kind of like negative reaction, because it's neutral. It's not apathy. You didn't ignore your friend when they told you about something. You affirmed that it happened, and without boosting their ego. Is that so?
Have you done it to a friend?
I'd say that affirmation is a way to be loving. Is that so? It's not negating, but it's hardly affirming. So it really does diminish the ego to be told. Is that so?
I can imagine it would kind of like cause people to pause and be like, what? Like just this morning, I was listening to RuPaul give an interview, and he said, like, he's got a list of like 10 things that you can say to not be very reactive to questions. And then this "is it so" kind of made me think of that interview as well. Some of his were oh no, I can't. He had like a whole list of like is that like, he didn't say "is that so." I'm having a moment. I should have written it down, but the point is that he has a list as well, so he's a role model, I guess, in this experiment.
But are you trying to say that like some of his list and phrase is around the family of "is that so"? Is like more a neutral way of responding? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, thank you for that clarification. Yeah, I was trying to say that like it was interesting to notice that other people do that as well, like have that neutral, like just a list of neutral responses that you can use to maybe diffuse a situation or deflect when people are trying to like cause drama kind of thing. I think that was more his point, was like to be neutral in responses versus like reactive.
Right.
So
I think this is a really good practice for, you know, like when try to respond to something that is going to become a conflict or drama, like you said. But for a friend that come with a wonderful news, and then if you answer, "is that so?" I mean, I think maybe she's going to be like, you're not happy for me, that kind of thing.
Are you saying you did that in a situation where a friend shared something happy and then you...
No, I haven't done that. I'm just trying to ask, like, what if I do something?
Yeah.
It's like it shows that you have no feeling. You know what I mean, right? You wouldn't do that, right? Is that if let's say I come to you and I say, "Oh my dear, I'm so happy of this great news," and then you wouldn't say to me, "Is that so?" Would you?
Yeah, I would probably more so use that exercise for internal reasons. Like with my own thought process, because I can get so into my head that I would use it more as a reflection of my own thought patterning.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so
I don't know if Jonathan left us or what's...
I think he left us. I think someone's queue. Do you want to proceed or he's back, but you're still on mute.
Are you there, Jonathan? You're muted.
I did mute that. I was welcoming a guest.
Gotcha.
Who didn't call before she showed up, as always. Even though I set that boundary.
Is that when we say, "Is that so?"
Is that
oh, yeah.
Is that so? All right, so
cool.
To the next slide then. Are you?
Oh, okay. Read the slide. Next slide then.
Okay.
All right. This too will pass was a phrase used in Tolle's book. He says this too will pass is a phrase passed down from wise men to a king who was having some trouble in his subjective feeling body about the way things were going sometimes. So he was asked by the king, "Will you make me a ring?" Says, "Is that so?"
What's the next prompt?
Oh, yeah. Have you ever let go of something you cared about?
Well, I can speak on that one. Like presently, I'm going through a transition with my work, and it got to the point where I was really in my head about it, and then finally I reached a point where I realized that the worrying and the thinking that I was doing with it was really just wasting my energy. So I reached the point where I was like, I give up. Like, I need to let go, because I'm like, I can't remember where I heard it, but it was something like the force that makes the water flow on the earth the way that it needs to, or makes the sun rise every day, is in charge of the same things as what I'm trying to control with my own power, which is not really, it was not really working out. So I just reached a point where I verbally said out loud, like, I let this go. And then this week things started to really flow, especially yesterday. So for me, at least, it does seem like surrendering and trying not to grasp on to the outcome of things is pretty key, or allowed the flow to come back for things to start happening.
That's great example. And it's I don't think I have. I don't know if I ever let go of something that I care about. I cannot. No, I cannot think of an example.
Yeah, I'd say one time I had to let go of a college dream.
Let go.
I was asked
A what
to stay in
dream?
town.
Oh, dream.
College dream.
College
My
dream.
mother asked me to
College
stay in town and not go off to college, and I let go of my dream.
It's never too
The
late.
positive part.
How did you feel after that? Like, do you feel like because you let go of that, it allowed for other things to happen that had you followed that plan that you wanted to hold on to so tightly?
Yeah, you know, I cared about. I realized I cared about my mother's feelings more than I care about college.
And do you feel like letting go of that allowed for other things to happen then? I mean, like,
Sure.
yeah.
That's what the king realized when he heard this too shall pass, is that it won't always be so bad. The good times are just around the bend. When you're having trouble, check back with yourself in a moment and you might realize that everything is still pretty darn good.
I've heard the metaphor of like allowing life to have like a flow, and when you're trying too hard to control the outcome, it's like you're swimming upstream, and life is supposed to be like you're floating on a raft going downstream, like it's supposed to be easy.
Yeah.
And if you're holding on to concepts or outcomes too hard, it's like you're just paddling upstream and you get tired and it's like a hot mess. But
right.
Just allowing things to happen.
Yes. That was I was listening to a discussion of Oprah and Eckhart for this chapter, and there was this one guy that was asking a question about when you let this happen, does that mean that you not taking any action? You know, like are we supposed to forget about how to, you know, try to find money to get to support, you know, to support ourselves? And the answer was that it doesn't mean that you let go. I mean, you're not taking action, but it's more like you're not worrying about that so much. I mean, you're not attached to it, but you still take action of, you know, find money to live, to support yourself. So I think that's I mean, that's how I see this. Am I trying to answer the second prompt already? On the positive part of detachment.
Everything's happening for a reason, right?
Right.
I'm a big fan of Brene Brown, and she has said before, like when she makes.
Who is Brene Brown?
Oh, Brene Brown is she's a researcher and a TEDx speaker and an author.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
She wrote a lot about shame and kind of getting real with your own story to kind of reframe. She talks a lot about shame, but one of the concepts that she talks about is to make decisions. If it's not a hell yes, then it's a no, which I think is a powerful way to like get into that flow. Like,
let go.
Well, to like let go of the decisions that you feel you're like worried about or not totally feeling, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So, okay. Jonathan, did you have anything to add on
Not really. Definitely there were some questions posed that make a lot of sense. When is it okay to let go of stuff, and what needs to have our attention?
Do you have any tips on that?
Yeah.
Well, I can make some general commentary. Money is only worth what you can buy with it. You need $1 million? Probably not. But some money is helpful. So should you completely let go of all your responsibilities and follow Christ? Or should you be a wise being who uses thoughts effectively?
Second answer. You should be a wise being that use your thought.
Yes, yes, that vacuosity of oxygenation of the blood and that little head rush is almost a state of vacuosity rather than inner stillness. So who knows?
Do you feel like there's anything inherently wrong with money though? Because I don't,
Oh,
you know,
no,
like,
it's only worth what you can buy with it. And there's people who buy more money with their money, and that doesn't make any sense to me.
gotcha.
But I'm detached from that whole facet of my thought process that I can do nothing about. So, what happens when you detach from outcome? You have more fun experiences, and you learn more effectively because you allow yourself to make mistakes. Yeah.
What would you say of the concept of the law of attraction that the reason that we came here is to learn how to harness energy and to create what it is that we want? Like, is there something inherently wrong with wanting things as a human being and energy, the law of attraction, to utilize our energy to attract back what it is that we want? Like, is it spiritual to use the law of attraction to get things in this physical world, or do you think that it's not spiritual?
Oh, no, it's totally, if you can creatively visualize, you've got a leg up when it comes to getting what you want. Nothing wrong with getting what you want. Unless it's like, to harm somebody.
Agreed.
Which
Yes.
is totally the teaching of every person we've ever, thought of when we thought back about the Buddha and the Bunyan and Jesus Christ and let's who else famous, all sorts of Christ-like figures currently. The history of mankind, humanity.
I think we've kind of completely gone off the.
No, I think that this is a good thing. Are we
Yeah,
ready
but
to move
it's
to
a good conversation.
to move to the next slide then? I guess I'm the one who's the only one having
Yes, please.
control. Okay.
Yep, you're in charge.
I'll stop pulling on my toes. Now, Tammy, seriously. Gosh, I'm trying to have a friendly meeting. Pulling on my toes. Oh, anyways, so what are the key features of objective consciousness? What are the key features of subjective consciousness? And can you imagine any other ways a person could view the world?
What are your thoughts, Jonathan?
Objective consciousness, the external world, the things between us, the subjective consciousness, the inner life, the personality, the self, the person who we are, and the perceiving faculties that go along with them. And is there any other way a person could view the world? Perhaps we're looking at these things as the inner and external realities. Maybe if they're in alignment with one another, which is Tolle's entire point of the book, it would seem different, very different, for somebody to be in line with their internal and external consciousness. Any other ways? Yeah. Yeah.
What are your thoughts, Margaret?
I was just thinking about how, like, when we get things aligned internally, then our outer world reflects that. Like, it really is an internal alignment to bring external alignment about, at least from my belief system.
So it's going to manifest whatever you want. Is that, if you're looking
well,
at
and
that
maybe
way
not
of the chapter?
necessarily. So I mean, I believe that there's nothing wrong with getting what you want, and my belief system is that's part of the reason why we came here, is to align our human experience with a spiritual one and find a flow between both, because we did come to Earth to experience it. But it is interesting, really detaching from like Jonathan said, with the subjective reality, like you said before we started recording, this is really, really deep stuff. So
Oh yeah.
but
Oh yeah.
you know, like the more that we can remember
really,
that we're separate, you know.
External reality, access to stuff. It's totally deeper than the ocean. You know, how deep is your love? Like, you know, freaking, was it?
That's a song.
Wrote that one. Yeah.
Another point that Eckhart was mentioning in this chapter is about spaceness. You know, like our whole self is like, it's just space. So is that space, we can relate that as a subjective consciousness then?
Space consciousness.
Is it?
Oh wow! I don't know.
Is that is the space, the spirit, the space, is that the subjective consciousness?
I don't know. Is that the space consciousness? Is that what is aware, or what we are aware of?
Say that again, please.
Is space consciousness what is aware, or what we are aware of?
Oh, it feels like what is aware, right?
Yeah.
For everyone to come in alignment with that understanding. Yeah.
Yeah.
So is that the stillness is the same thing then? What we aware of?
The space around me, the wall here.
No, I'm not talking about that space.
Space.
I'm talking about the stillness space. The formless space.
Oh.
What? That I don't know. See, this is so deep. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, on 227 it says objective consciousness needs to be balanced by space consciousness for sanity to return to our planet and for humanity to fulfill its destiny. The arising of space consciousness is the next stage in the evolution of humanity. So the more that people become aware that we are not like our physical being, that we're not, that we don't have to have attachment to the external world, that we are the formless being that's the observer, like the more we all do that, the more power that we hold, because we're in alignment with like actual power, like power that creates universes and stuff. But if we're so enmeshed in the physical world of Earth, then we kind of like lose, you know, living is limited to the 3D world and the laws that we have to follow when we view things that way.
Mm-hmm.
What are your
The body is temporary, but the soul is eternal.
What?
Oh, the body is temporary, but the soul is eternal, viewing things from our three-dimensional world and higher dimensions and whatnot. Oh, yes. What a trip down memory lane. Yeah. I was walking down Boulevard of Broken Dreams once. I walk a lonely road. Only road that I've ever known.
good song? What are both of your thoughts on individuals who have not reached that point? Like, do we as conscious beings who are seeking more knowledge to become more in alignment with the greater I am that we are, do we have any obligation to try and share this knowledge with other people? Or do we detach from that, like we were talking earlier about talking with friends and saying, is that so? Like, are we supposed to just live our lives and allow others to keep on business as usual and everyone will elevate at their own pace? Or do we actively try and spread the information as conscious beings to try and elevate others around us as well?
I think making an effort might be the wrong thing to do when it comes to this kind of thing,
I would
since
agree.
we need to keep an eye on our three-dimensional life. You know, making an effort to spread this stuff is maybe like not so productive when it comes to self-care.
I mean, I think you should see the hint. If you see there is opportunity for someone who's trying to find things, then and you know about that, there's nothing wrong of sharing what you know, but you don't just go approach people, you know, telling all about this stuff just because you think that you know more than them. I mean, I don't think that's right. I mean, everyone have their own. That's how I see it. I mean, that's how you do it to me, Meredith, right? I mean, because
yeah, I guess I was thinking like in your and my relationship, how it kind of worked that way. Like maybe in retrospect, I'm wondering like, was I trying to share information with you that you weren't ready for? But I mean, obviously you were, because here we are. But maybe trusting that the universe brings people into your path,
yeah,
you know, when it's needed.
mm-hmm. What is Jonathan doing?
Playing jokes, that's all.
Are you doing shadow puppets?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Is that so?
Is that so?
I am actively trying to detach here.
Are we moving on to the next prompt with that mental form? Or did we already cover this? Mental form, does the mind define itself in another way?
The question was, does the mind define itself in another way?
No, the
Oh.
prompt, on the prompt, without mental form, does the mind define itself in another way? It's on the slide, the second prompt.
As a being experiencing itself subjectively. Yeah.
Would you like to elaborate on that?
Yeah, I don't.
Thoughts
Yeah.
become the subjects of an objective consciousness, but we don't accept ourselves sometimes, and we start making goals out of how we will be thinking instead of loving ourselves and accepting ourselves as we are.
Okay. Okay.
Next slide.
Yes, please.
Lose yourself to find yourself.
Oh, this is a good one. So have any of you been going back to your breath while you've been at this book club today?
I probably should. Is that the whole point of this exercise?
This is good, Jonathan.
The flow state is legendary. Oh gosh. A little ungrounded. Oh yeah. The energetics current like a current running through a field of
So when we having
clovers,
fun,
a clover field with a red currant bush in it. I don't know.
I don't understand what is that an example? What are you saying, Jonathan?
Oh, I'm having some silly time on my sign. My brain.
You keep rocking it.
My brain has gone into the subjective realm, and I'm having a wonderful time.
Oh, okay.
And I haven't had any need to breathe, because I'm just so happy. I'm so happy. Oh.
So when you happy and having fun, and you focus on the breath work, so that you stop having fun.
It's part maybe it could be maybe we can make a sort of like goal out of it, or maybe practice for next week. Besides the yoga poses which I brought up, we brainstormed together. I think we should try that next time we're having really good fun. Go to the breath and see if it puts the brakes on the fun, or if maybe it makes space for a friend to be.
Okay, we'll try. We'll try this.
Might be a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds fun.
Thank you for that reminder to go back to breathing.
I know that I think that is really impressive.
That was good, because I was caught up in that for a hot second.
I know. Yep. Is there anything else that we want to add about lose yourself to find yourself?
Oh.
Probably that, like, our human brain can't really begin to grasp the power that we have within us. So, like, the more that we can let go of what we think we know is when we really find out who we are.
About an hour. In about 15 minutes.
Gonna go back to breathing here.
Yes. It's Tuesday.
Okay. Is there a
If there is, is there anything else you want to add, Meredith?
Oh, anything else to add? Oh,
Yeah.
oh yeah. Yeah.
Anything else to add on
Exercise
that
for this
slide?
week. You
Are you
know,
ready for the exercise of this week? Okay.
yeah. Find a yoga pose that you think sounds relaxing, and see if you can get even more calm sense of self in that posture with the subjective reality in alignment with the objective reality, which is often a yoking with God, seen as the Buddha and Christ were godly men, and we've based so much of our external objective reality on them. See if we can find more of that calm sense of self in any yoga posture we may choose.
Okay.
Could you further explain why you feel yoga is important?
Oh yeah.
For folks who don't or haven't had
the
much.
ego. It diminishes the ego greatly because it's goofy. You know, you say, "Oh, I'm just doing a downward dog pose," and people say whatever they say about that. It's a wonderful time to relax and open ourselves up to the power of now. Now that we're here, we should pay homage to the people who got us here. And that is through yoga.
Do you feel that yoga is sacred because it connects the mind and body? Like you're consciously doing these poses, right? So like when you're thinking about connecting with your physical body, it does allow that space of being in the present moment, like you said.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I think at least for me, sometimes I think back on my life before I started therapy, and realizing that I was so disconnected from my physical body that when my therapist said, "Okay, where do you feel these emotions at in your body?" I was like, "I don't know." Like I was so disconnected from my physical body. And then after practicing yoga, it connects the mind with the body to have greater control over it, to utilize our body as a tool versus it using us or getting too caught up in things.
Oh yeah, doing things intentionally with the body helps keep the mind in check, because we're humans and we have monkey minds, and mayhem sort of is part of our life sometimes. And this too shall pass, so when the mayhem comes up, this too shall pass.
Yes, it shall.
Was all that intentional to like prove a point of like this too shall pass? Because that is brilliant if it was.
It's such a relief that it makes sense to you, because I was starting to wonder if I had lost my mind. But yeah, it did a good job of that though, huh?
Good job.
Yep. And don't forget another exercise that we're supposed to do, breath work, when you're having fun. So that we have to exercise for this week, and we're going to reflect on that next week, and that brings on to the last slide is going to be our next session is November 5th at 7 to 8, and we're going to be discussing chapter 9, your inner purpose. If you're interested to join us, there is a contact email, mindfulmeeting@mail.com. I think this week was a great discussion, and we laugh, and I think that's make everything's good. Anything? Any last point that you
Sure.
guys want to talk to say?
Space between the thoughts, light within the body.
Space between the thought. Weight between the body.
Light within the body.
Or light within the body.
Space between the thought, light within the body.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Is that viewing, like I've heard the concept of viewing our thoughts and emotions as like clouds kind of floating through the sky? Is that what you're referring to, like space between the thoughts?
Yeah. That was one of my favorite parts about Tole's teachings.
Mm. All right.
I would like to say that I appreciate Jonathan's example here, because like this whole time I'll be really real, and I was kind of questioning like the whole laying on the ground thing, and then you're like, this too shall pass. I was like, oh, okay. I get it now. So that was a brilliant example. I'm not sure I appreciated it in the moment, but like when I made that connection.
My inner and outer purpose doing a 360-degree flip in the air.
So that was a great like in the moment live example of exactly what we were talking about, like detaching from things and what our perception is on external situations. And I'm very grateful for this lesson. At the time I was questioning things, but once it made sense, so thank you. That was a great addition to this talk this week.
It was fun. Thank you
Real
for
time.
letting me enjoy the time you do. Have a wonderful night. I have a guest who needs some attention. TLC. Have a wonderful night. Namaste. I will be here next week.
All right. Bye-bye, guys.